I'm so blessed that I have so many amazing mentors in my life. And one of those mentors has taught me two ways to always begin something. These are somewhat esoteric, but the two things are begin with gratitude and begin with the feminine. I'll explain what that means. So to begin with gratitude, I'd like to just acknowledge a few people that have allowed me to be here tonight. And as I acknowledge these people, I want you to actually feel them with us here. So in many shamanic and indigenous cultures, there's an honoring of ancestors, and we've lost that a lot in our culture. But what we can do is we can pay homage to what's led us here. So I want to begin by just honoring my wife and my daughter, my wife Amanda and my daughter Jaya. It's been through their endless support that I've been able to actually show up here fully and move into the world with this sort of the gusto that I do. It's all because of them. I feel really lucky to have Amanda's brother here tonight, Ben. I'd also like to thank a woman named Cindy Wigglesworth. So 3 or 4 years ago, I decided that I wanted to write this book, Streams of Wisdom. And I knew that the only way that I could write the book would be by taking time off and really dedicating myself to it. And I was at something called the Integral Theory Conference a few years ago, and I just had a chance to mention the fact that I wanted to write this book, and she came up to me after I had mentioned that, and she said, "What do you need to write that book?" I was blown away by the question, and I said, well, I'd want to take time off so I wouldn't be able to work, and if I had just a little bit of money to support me, I'd be able to do it. And she said, name how much you need, and be honest about it. She knew that I would be honest about what kind of provisioning was really what I needed. And I named it, and she immediately upheld that and started to support me. She supported me for a year and a half, 18 months to write this book. So I wouldn't be here without Cindy. I want to just pay thanks to her. She's a beautiful woman. I also want to thank my two mentors, Ken Wilber and Dan Brown. So I don't know if many of you have actually heard much about this book or read much about this book yet, but it's really a synthesis of all of the wisdom that I've drawn from both of these incredible people, Ken and Dan. So really thanking them. And I once heard I was at a talk, and I heard the person say, anything that's good in what I've done comes from my teachers. Anything that's a little off or messed up, it's probably my error. And I really want to hold true to that what's good in this book really comes from the deep wisdom that I've inherited from those who taught me. And then finally, on just a super practical level, I want to acknowledge James Redenbach, who's here, who actually did all the designs for this book. So James, thank you so much for your interior designs, for your cover designs, and everything else, so thank you. And then, of course, thank you to Bay Area Integral, because it's through this platform and it's through Terry's years of commitment and experience that we're all here tonight. So thank you to Terry, thank you to all the volunteers. Good. So then the second piece, just to make sure that the cornerstone that we're cutting for this temple we're building is perfect. It's important to start with the feminine. So what that means is that before I plant any seeds, we have to make sure that the soil here is fertile. And we can do that just by checking in with each other. So I'd like you guys just to introduce yourselves to the person next to you, to the person behind you, and just say hi so we're not strangers here. So just take a minute and do that, please. So I want to know, who here is brand new to integral theory? Like you've never heard that term, you don't know what that is. Who thinks spirituality is a little strange? Yeah? A lot of people, yeah, good. Yeah, fair enough. who here feels like, they've done some spiritual work and they're familiar with spirituality in their lives, and this it's not new for them. They feel like they've had some practice. Yeah, a few of you? Good. Okay. So tonight is all about practice. I'm certainly going to speak, and I'm certainly going to introduce all the things that I'm really excited about in this book. But I really want tonight to be an evening where we get to engage not only with each other, but get to push our own edges of practice. And that begins by how we show up, and that begins by how we listen. So I want to just make a couple suggestions so that we all are practicing together tonight. So the first is that we can actually learn how to listen with our full physical body. So most of us sit in our chairs, we're a bit disembodied, and we hear things as they come into our ears, they process in our brains, and they sort of stay in this mental container. But there's an opportunity tonight to just do an experiment. So for the next few moments, and if you can for the rest of the evening, just imagine that you're listening with your whole body, almost like your whole body becomes the receptive vehicle for what you hear. And by doing that, you just feel the front surface of your body open, you stay aware of your body, and you allow your body to participate in what's happening. So that's practice point one. The second point is that I want to introduce 3 terms to you. So those 3 terms are context, contact, and content. Context, contact, and content. And let me unpack what those mean, because it's another practice that we can engage in together. So tonight, I'm going to be talking about all kinds of content. And for some people, they get very easily lost in content. And to be lost in content means that you actually lose contact. So what I'm going to invite you into is that even as I speak about a lot of different things tonight, try to stay in contact with me and try to stay in contact with the other people here. So don't get lost in some sort of headspace where you're disembodied and you forget that there's other people in the room or that we're here together. So that's contact and content. But then there's also the context. And the context is, in the context of spirituality, or in the context of what we're speaking about tonight, there's a possibility that we can each hold a recognition or hold an awareness that all of reality is actually an indivisible whole. It means that, yes, there's a sense that we are separate individuals, but as we deepen our own spiritual practice, whether through meditation or some other form, we move more deeply into the recognition that reality is actually singular. And that undivided wholeness is the context for everything that we do tonight. So these 3 pieces, context of undivided wholeness, contact, feeling into each other, staying in contact, and then content, are ways that we can practice tonight.